Okay.
Great.
So I'll introduce myself. My name is Reed, and I am back in Brooklyn from a long summer in Minneapolis, and very ready to be working my imagination again after like some of a hiatus over the summer.
Nice. Um, my name is Lawrence. I am newly relocated to Cambridge, Mass, from 4 years in Jamaica Plain, which I am sad about leaving and happy to arrive. Uh, and also very excited to be engaging my imagination, although I feel like mine has been in like hyperdrive since COVID happened. Uh, but it has been imagination very focused on what's in front, like what's literally right in front of us.
Yeah,
And I mean, I don't know about you. I read most of this book in the last like 8 days.
same. Yeah,
So, like, really stretching the imagination in different ways that has felt really good.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. So the book we're talking about is Children of Virtue and Vengeance. You have a physical copy. I just have this.
Look too.
My cover is less cool than yours.
Stunning cover art, like incredible,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
So epic.
Yeah.
Freaking loved it. Um, yeah, so where should we start?
We start the maybe we can start with just like what are the discoveries of this world that's changed since the last
Mm,
book that I felt like was a big part of the experience of going through this book of how the world has just changed so much in ways that the characters didn't know or understand, and they're like trying to figure out as they're going along. Um, and it wasn't until like they started making actually being able to name these discoveries and put together that the world started to make more sense.
mm-hmm.
Um, my
Like what?
my favorite one is these connectors who essentially just draw all of their energy. You can draw power from magi. I think of similar magic types and
Oh
amplify
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
magic.
yeah.
Like
What do they call them? Centers.
centers, yes, centers. Um, yeah, so the centers. I wasn't sure if the centers always required some type of like horrific sacrifice on the part of the
Yeah.
people that they were drawing from. It seemed like um, that could happen in order to unleash this like a terrifying amount of magic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it seemed like this new type of magic that like the folks just had never dawned on them beforehand
Mm-hmm.
that this type of magic could exist. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we can draw on not just like what is in ourselves and this ash in ourselves, but like all these other people around us. Um, and like the discovery for them of like finding that ability and how to use that I feel like was essential to like this new world that they're walking into and trying to like make sense of how like the rules have changed
For sure.
since like the rules have changed overnight for them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that takes me to the ritual, like
You
um
know,
Zelly bringing magic back. But like I think it was pretty clear in the moment that the ritual didn't fully work.
you know,
Like something went wrong, but we didn't know. And so, right, like the center is just like, my projection was that the centers were part of that going wrong.
yeah,
And also like the Titans
yeah,
who like have their magic kind of like turned inward. but if they can like work through the physical pain, they have a huge amount of power.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, we're obviously in spoiler mode. So like the queen, like being such a wild card, I feel.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just like so powerful and so evil. I was very upset by the queen's character for sure. Um,
Yes.
okay, but not to go all the way there. Back to just like stuff that was different about the world. Um, like the way that um, magic coming back didn't create what they thought it was going to create. Like the plan was like, bring magic back, everything's going to be dope. And
Yeah.
then shit was really fucking hard. That was
Yeah.
like a devastating realization for me, at least.
Yeah. And I think the one thing I really struggle with, I was never quite sure if like I think the characters like all of them struggle with this in their own way of like who owns magic, like who's it
Mm-hmm.
belong to, and like who has the right to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and like when is using it like a demonstration or expression of like history and culture, which was for the Magi, or power, um, or like a demonstration of like belonging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and seeing that like that people who weren't didn't originally have this gift now had it was like as much of a kind of insult and harm than the actual kind of harm that those people had done in the past, like the rulers and like kind of non magi folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I hated you before this, but now that you have this thing that made me unique, I hate you even more. Or like
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. Like it's my revulsion of you
Yeah.
is in part driven by that you have what is unique to us, and what was
Mm-hmm.
unique to us was what originally made you oppress us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that I feel like there's a knot there that like I've been trying to untangle about all of that, um, but I haven't really gotten through it. It's hard to like I can understand. I can understand that feeling in so many different places, like in the real world. Um, but there also does feel like such a sense of I don't know, just it's not like there does seem to be some type of like ego involved with it that did bother me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Of like if this what you and your people have is so special, like is it like when is it wrong and when is it right for someone else to have access to that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah,
That's an interesting knot. I
yeah,
definitely, I definitely hear you. I definitely think about it with like, uh, I think about it with race and like appropriation,
yeah,
and I also think about it with gender and like male power. Like, yeah, it's like what is, and those are two different situations. Like, they're two different systems. Like, when I think about cultural appropriation or like whiteness appropriating elements, aspects of African and Black culture, um, it's like stealing for benefit. Um, but like, it's because Blackness is dope.
yeah, yeah,
And like, whiteness is void.
yeah,
And so it makes sense that you want to fill void with something that's dope. But obviously, at the destruction of the people who are creating it is like terrible. But that like so, but like most people I know who are cultural producers want their stuff to spread. Like they're trying to influence culture.
Yeah.
They're not trying to just like make it in a box that just stays over here. They're like
Yeah.
trying to have an impact. Um, and so, what is the line between? I mean, obviously, appropriation is bad, but like, if that's one end of the spectrum and like cultural influence is another end, like, where does something shift from appropriation into just
Yeah.
being effective if what you're trying to do is impact culture? And then anyways, I think about that as it relates to the
Yeah.
magi and magic. And not to say that, I mean, obviously it's bad that, if you're stealing culture and then not attributing, not giving benefit to like all that stuff, clear, clear, clear. But just like, when does that threshold get crossed? And then I think maybe just real quick on the male power thing is like, I feel like power isn't the problem. Like it's like unfair use of power that is the problem. Like we actually all have power, and it is the wielding of our power that allows us to shape the world in the ways that we want it to be.
Yeah.
It's just unfair that some people's power is like so far, it's like it's just so much bigger than other people's. Like men just have more power because of the societies and structures that we have constructed. um, but does that make it bad then when like women and non-binary folk achieve that same level of power? Not that that's what people are trying to do, but just like,
Yeah.
how do we be in dialogue about what it looks like when someone does gain more power than they had before and gain it in a way that upsets the previous power structure? Reminds me of The Power by Naomi Alderman.
Mm.
Did you read that?
I haven't read it.
Oh, well, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah. It's like the. I guess another thing that I struggle with a little bit in the book around power because it seemed that the only I kind of feel like everyone is like all the main characters just needed like one really good healing justice circle, like restorative justice circle.
So
Like let's just come around,
true.
it's like talk this out. Like
Yeah,
come
y'all need to
on,
sit out. They're
like
just
we can get through that. We can figure this out. Like,
they're
but
bouncing off each other's trauma and like,
yeah, it's like could not talk to each. They just couldn't reach each other. There was no
mhm.
interface. There was no. It
Yeah.
was like there's this, and every good intention was poorly received or misunderstood, and that lack of reception then in turn led to some harmful explicit action from the person who had been trying to do something. It was just like, come on, like we can we can like there's got to be some tool beyond getting through all this, beyond like, okay, they have this new, like the queen's really strong, she has some new power, okay, we gotta find a way to get more power for us. Okay, we found some more power, but like now this general that the queen found is extremely powerful, is able to like bash open the gates to our mountain. But now like we can find a way to be even more powerful by like linking together and like kind of linking our souls together. And now
Yeah.
we're just gonna go into the palace and just like mess shit up and like like I was just like, come on, like the head. I wish there was more there in terms of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really liked seeing how people came into understanding what different forms of power can mean, and like their form of power that ultimately Zelly taps into is this sense of like interconnectedness and like
Mm-hmm.
weaving together, and like if we can just weave and like and connect to each other and like weave together all these threads of our own individual abilities, like we will have something that is just totally unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish there was something beyond that, like we'll have something that's unheard of and it's more powerful than anything else. And like
Mm-hmm.
that is like what we're reaching towards.
Mm.
But it's yeah.
Yeah, I really hear you. There very much was this like ratcheting up
Yeah.
effect that felt, yeah, it just felt like, um, well, I guess it was moments, it was that dynamic and a couple of others that made me really remember the way Octavia writes and the way N.K. Jemisin writes.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many parallels. I don't know if you were within the ones I was with him, but I was like, oh, when like centers, I was like, oh, this is like Pattern Master.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this is wild. Um, and then the um, oh my gosh, what was it? Um, the way that the wow, I totally cannot remember this other reference. Um, in the Broken Earth series, oh, when Guardians like turn, um, oh my God, what are the what are the magic folks in Broken Earth trilogy called?
Oh, the origines or
Yeah, the origins.
the origins.
Like Guardians, just like turn origin, they turn orogeny back on the
Yeah.
origins. Like that's kind of what was happening with Titans.
Yeah.
Like they were having their magic kind of like turned in on their bodies
Yeah.
as they tried to like let it out, but it was like actually this like much older story of perversion of their magic that like, anyways,
Yeah.
um I feel like what those two other authors do that didn't feel so present here was like when those breakthroughs happen, it like changes the landscape of what people are trying to do, often because of the increased history.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how the newness, like, that's how the new powers became more powerful. They became more powerful because they expanded the frame of what's possible, which was
Yeah.
different than here, which is just like, now I can attack bigger than you can.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
It made me wonder about like reading authors who have been writing for different lengths of time. Because like I'm listening to all these interviews with her now because she's like all over Adrienne Marie Brown's Instagram. She's like on these podcasts, and she's been writing for less than 4 years.
Wow.
I think she's like 26 right now, and she
Wow.
wrote the first book when she was like 22 or 23.
Wow.
So like
Yeah.
obviously super dope. This book is amazing. These books are amazing, and
Yeah.
Octavia was just writing for a lot longer and had lived a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If this is the gateway for a new like generation of young people into POC sci-fi, then I'm extremely like happy. Like
This is
this
a
is
great door.
yeah. Yeah.
What else is coming up for you? I have like two other thoughts.
Me too. Thoughts. Um. So I wrote a couple of things down.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm happy to jump in if you want, but I'm also happy
Yeah,
to
go
be
for it.
slow.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where.
Well, the the three things that were up for me is like the the seeking of the throne that kind of like previously was like it seemed to me like everybody was like fuck the throne, and then it just like slowly became like all three of our like crew
Yeah,
wanted the throne.
yeah,
Zelly, Amari, and Anon all wanted it. Um, and I was like, what? Why is everybody all about this now? Like, this is crazy. We know the king was fuck shit. Like,
yeah.
so I mean, that's a whole thing. Um, the second thing is really noticing how much like patriarchy showed up, particularly in like I'm doing a lot of learning about how young boys get their emotions severed from them,
Mm,
and it's almost always pain. It's almost always like, oh, you're acting like a sissy. We're gonna hit you until you stop, and that might be your parents or it might be kids on the playground,
mm,
or like, don't cry, you know, have a stiff upper lip. Like
mm,
often what's happening is like a boy is like causing some internal pain, like I remember for me it was like literally biting my lip. Like I would just like bite
mm.
down to not be sad or so that my like tears didn't come, and it like substituted a pathway in my body from like some sensation to sadness to like pain became the new pathway.
Yeah.
And that happened like 10 times during the book. Like the specific like I what Zelly says, I dug my nails into my palms so that I wouldn't cry.
Mm,
um or like I think um
mm,
Inan like he like bit his lip so hard he bled, or like
yeah.
um just like so many little moments. I was squeezing Amari was squeezing the silk of um uh a tunic, like squeezing it so hard so that her tears wouldn't come out. Anyways, that I'm just like noticing the ways that those emotional
Yeah.
pathways are broken, and it definitely shows up across gender. Like patriarchy knows no gender in terms of maintaining power structures. Um, so that was my second thing, and then the third thing I'll just throw in um, was I really felt like I loved the magic. I'm so here for the magic. I could talk about the magic for a whole book club. Um, so I just want to like really big up the magic, like all the different ways that it was like illustrated, and
Yeah.
we got more depth into
Yeah.
each of the different magics. I think I find like I'm finding myself really drawn towards tamers now. Like
Yeah. I
when they
love the
made those
Tamers.
when they made those animals go berserk, I was like, that shit is dope. Um,
Rabbit. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, they went rabbit. So that was really just amazing. So glad she went in on that. Um, I did notice maybe a thing, yeah, I was wanting more of, and I think we talked about this last time too, is there's like it feels like some of the emotional arcs are really short.
Yeah.
And it was like we're over here and then we're over here. And it was
Yeah.
like big up, big down. Um, and I definitely noticed there was like a pretty consistent pattern of like many of the chapters ended with like
Yeah. Yeah. And I especially think there's just not, yeah, there's like so many things I want to respond to there, but there just wasn't a lot of like fluidity in the relationships. It was either, there's always extremes of like highest highs or lowest low.
mm-hmm,
And which I know is just like unsustainable in general. Like this doesn't, not how relationships
mm-hmm.
work. Um, I remember reading that and thinking, also remembering that I think almost all of the characters are really young and they're basically all like in their
It's
teens,
true. Yeah.
early 20s. There's like no adult, like the only elder is just like Mama Agba, who's like,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, she must carry like the weight of the world on her shoulders, trying to like train these teenagers that came into this new power and are trying to figure out how to, you know, transform their nation.
Yeah.
She's like the only one there is like, yo, okay, like, like we need to slow down. Like, here's
Yeah.
some,
Here's some history.
and I think like the absence of just people who felt like they had could carry more complexity in their relationships to each other, or could hold a lot of complexity. Um, I was feeling that, but though towards the end, I think that the most compelling relationship I find is between um, Amari um, and
Zane.
Zell.
Oh, the two. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just one I found most compelling.
Mm.
Because I think they're for a long time throughout the book they're able to. It's tough. Like I could never feel. I was always unsure like what was the level of distance between them, even from the beginning of the book. Like they were very far apart, but then sometimes they come closer together and further apart.
Mm.
So it's hard for me to like lay down markers to really know like each chapter by chapter, like just really what are they feeling in relationship to each other. But by the end of the book, like both of them had done like immense harms toward the other.
Yeah.
Both of them had been able to like to still kind of coexist and be like, around each other and
Mhm.
like Amari Zelly is going to basically ask Amari to make this blood sacrifice for her in order for the connectors, for anyone to connect and to
Yeah.
that's the power that they need to overthrow the kingdom. And Amari like willingly goes into that, like volunteers for that. Um, but then Zelly is like, actually, no, you don't get to do that. Like, you can't just volunteer. Like, this is a big decision. Like, there was just a lot. They just held more space and
Mm.
complexity to each other than I think any of the other characters did. Where they could,
Mm.
I think they just saw how much they disagreed with each other. Yet we're still able to like be with each other in a way that I found really
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Whereas with like, I think like Amari and her brother, like Zane, they um like Amari and her brother, they just I was just surprised at how much they couldn't communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just know each other so well, and they're both trying to fight for the same thing, but they just could not. Like in the dreamscape, and when they meet, and like he inadvertently betrays them. Like there's just no like she just couldn't see that, and that was really it was surprising to me, and also I think just like disappointing that I feel like in my relationships with my family, like I can when people have done like harm to me, or like I can see like complexity behind that, and like it's just not like an on off switch. Like okay, you're out, like you're in or you're out, like and that I wish there were more there. But then also like yeah, going back to um, just like this world they're living in, like they really are all of these young people just like trying to figure this out, and
Yeah, that's a really good point.
they don't have like it's like no buffer there between them, this one wise old woman.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like literally all of their parents have been killed,
yeah,
except for the mother who's evil,
yeah,
like the monarch. Um, so yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I think I I feel like it's important to, or it felt important to me to like Oh my gosh, Peter. To remember that like they have been through a shit ton of trauma. Like
Yeah.
watching your mother get destroyed by the monarchy and then being near your father when he got destroyed by the monarchy and then killing your father
Yeah.
and expect like believing that your mother was dead and then realizing she wasn't, like
Yeah.
just those things are intensely traumatic. And then like Zelly getting branded by the king, just like so much trauma.
Yeah.
uh, and I did find that that's where I was like, okay, I didn't think about like having a healing justice process, like having a transformative justice circle. Like I hadn't thought about that as a possibility, but I definitely was noticing like, wow,
Yeah.
they are really effed up. And
Yeah.
I think I was listening to an interview where she was saying like she studied the Tomi Adeyemi. She was saying she studied war. She just like
Mm.
studied war for like 2 years to write these books. And like in that, when I hear that, I'm like, oh right, that is probably how it happens. Like
Yeah.
young folks are just thrown into chaos. Their parents are getting killed, and they're just trying to figure out how to stop shit.
Yeah. Like your central nervous system is just constantly running at 5,000%. You don't even remember what it's like to not have it
Yep.
at that. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes me like hearing that she did that research makes me appreciate more that feeling that does come out of the book of just wild instability and wild unpredictability.
Mm-hmm.
Like each of these characters, they have their own like, plans and intentions, but they all of them somewhat feel out of control. Like not only can they not kind of control their own individual actions all that well, have control over them, but like the where they're trying to get towards in their visions, even themselves, just feel so like kind of unstable and inarticulated. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be on the throne and things can get better. No, I will be on the throne and things get better. It's just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're just running on pure yeah, pure adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
and stress. Um, I don't know. That's like the one moment in the book that yeah, I also really struggle with this one moment in the book where I feel like Zelly offered a way out of all that with like, hey, let's just get in this boat and go to the other end of the shore. Like, let's go, let's get out of this and like reset. And it was so quickly batted away that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like Amari issued some sort of like, you know, don't be a coward war call, and that immediately brought people immediately away from thinking that idea could be possible. Um, but I wish there had been more there to see what is this alternative we could be making that is not throwing ourselves headfirst into like
Mm-hmm.
this clash. Um, and it didn't feel like and like for Zelly, it came out of this place of just like immense loss. Just like I can't do this anymore. But it feels like that is just such a natural that people have just done that. Communities have just done that for so many generations. Like you just
Mm-hmm.
migrate, you flee, you go
Yeah.
somewhere else, and like that is a survival strategy and
Yeah.
like a strategy of like healing in some ways. But that just wasn't. I don't know. It didn't feel like people could really see it as viable in this world of just
Mm-hmm.
revenge and like harm and pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely. I really resonate with what you're saying around like yeah, they're just there don't seem to be that many possibilities available as they're like thinking about what to do, and it would be like it makes sense given their context, given their age, and yeah, I do. I guess when I think about it from a like a cultural intervention standpoint, I'm curious what Adeyemi thinks about the work that her books are doing in culture. Because like
Yeah,
I know um like N.K. Jameson's like very clear about what she's trying to do. Like she talks about it in interviews. So and I haven't yet heard any or maybe I haven't listened to enough interviews with Tomi Adeyemi
yeah,
about it, but like there's something about writing a book that's good and like you know, she wrote really fucking good books.
yeah,
Um, and then there's kind of that like next layer of like writing a book that's good that like changes something about the nature of real world reality.
yeah,
And she did lots of that, like talking about Orisha and Yoruba, like just huge, huge shifts there.
yeah,
Um, and I'm curious about this one too. Like in this pandemic moment. Not that she should be writing towards it, but just like as I think about being in a pandemic, um, what possibilities does her work open up or close off for people?
mm-hmm.
Or maybe not close off, but just like keep people in what they already know.
Yeah, yeah.
But book three's coming.
It is. What do you think? What do you think happened in this book? Like
Oh my god, I'm pissed. I was so pissed about the end.
it. Yeah.
I was livid.
There's like a flash of white light, and they like wind up on a boat somewhere, like chained. Is that?
I was full on angry. I was reading it at my friend's house and I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. I feel fully lost.
Yeah. I was confused about that. It, yeah. Definitely ended like the middle series, like the middle two.
Like the middle book in a series. Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, I'm trying to even remember. Yeah, it was just like I was so happy that Zelly was gonna wreck, and then I was pumped. I was like, "This is dope."
Yeah, no, she was getting ready to literally tear him out.
I have been waiting this whole book for this moment, and she like,
His life force crackles like a fire, prickling against my fingertips. He tenses as I start to pull, ripping it away from him. Damn.
I was so here for it, especially given how like how many other people have died. Like Mazali,
Yeah.
what? I legit cried. I was just lying on my back in the grass reading that section, and I just stopped reading and just cried. And I was ready for Inna to get his, and then White Mist. I got nothing. What do you
Yeah,
think
I don't
happens?
know. Yeah, this number three.
Huh?
we'll find out in book three.
We'll find out in book 3. Yeah. Well, I'll say I feel there's definitely like a little piece of me that's like, I'm 31 and I've written no best-selling books, so who am I to critique anybody who's written 2 of them before I have done any of them? Um, and I just like want to name the like potentially gender dynamics of that, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, being a dude critiquing an incredibly uh not professional, but like epic black woman's work. There's part of me that feels like, ooh, I don't want to do that. That
Yeah.
doesn't feel right. And there's another part of me that's like, I hope that my honesty about my experience is like constructive and additive, not
Yeah.
like destructive and
Yeah.
um, like antagonistic.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I just fucking need to say that.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that. 'Cause I'm feeling that too. And it's also it's like the work is so meaningful, and the place I'm coming from is reading, like comparing and thinking about these other authors who've been in the game for like 40 years, and like just being so excited that this new person is like in
Yeah,
this lineage,
yeah,
and just like wanting so much out of it, like
yeah,
and this being like a little bit disappointed, but then also like, oh no, I get to have however many more years of her work, like all the beautiful like things yet to be produced. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna get to have that as part of my life, like that's, yeah,
It's pretty dope.
it's pretty. Yeah.
It's like, well, what if we had been alive when Octavia first started writing the Parable series?
Gosh.
Or no, she didn't write Parable first. She wrote Patternist first, I think.
Mm.
Like, what if we were alive as the Patternist series came out,
Oh my gosh.
and then she wrote the Parable series?
Woo.
Like, what is
Yeah.
Adeyemi's like political, like as her political analysis continues to develop, as all of ours does, like, yeah, what a gift that we get to be along for that ride.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just imagining like the young person who got to read that at that time, and like what it meant to them,
Mhm.
right? Like there just wasn't anything else really out there. What she was doing, like that. I don't know, just like opening up a book that just, I'm just imagining like myself back then, or like imaginary read, like open up a book that felt like it was so needed for me and I didn't know existed, but then I find it and I start reading it. And I'm like, oh, this was actually like for me.
Yeah.
Like all these other books that I've been searching for and I kind of enjoyed, like didn't speak to me, but this is for me. Like this is what a book can do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty exciting. Um, well, should we close there? Or do we want to have like some closing question, prediction, or something else? Maybe not prediction. I think we tried that.
Oh yeah, we did try predict. We tried predict. I remember from book two, book three of Broken Earth. That was fun.
That was fun.
Coming back to those. I think you had a really good prediction. I think you predicted there'd be like a massive like arc in terms of Shafa's story that like
Yep.
really came to pass. So that was awesome. Like,
Yeah, that one felt good.
yeah,
It
I
was
didn't
in
see that one coming. I was like, but yeah, it was.
SciFi,
um,
but also I see him. Um, hmm. Maybe it was one thing you want to. Oh, you got one? Go for it.
I don't know, go for it. I was just thinking about something completely different.
Oh, I was gonna say, what's one thing you hope continues to deepen in book three?
Mm, that's a good one. I think I just want to see more really cool, creative uses of magic now that they know how to connect to each other, and like what's all the like wild things that they can do in this swirls and blends of different streams
Mm,
of magic that they probably don't even know exist yet. Like, it's probably gonna like have to make it up as they go along.
mm,
um, I almost imagine it as like finding like new colors, like being
mm,
exposed to new colors, and like the
mm,
electroviolet like spectrum, like, oh, hello, like a
mm.
color that I couldn't see before. Like what that would be like for them. How about yourself?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so excited for magic in book three. Yeah, like that we started to see like when two different types of magics combine, like a reaper and a healer. Turns out they just can revive people.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking forward to more of to seeing more of the pairs.
Mm,
What are two different types of like two different elders who are masters of their magic, but also like can there be trios?
mm,
Like what happens if you get a trio or a quad?
mm,
Like, is the final thing like does she use all
mm,
10 or like do all the elders like use one thing? Like do they
mm,
make a thing? Um, that feels
mm.
like what I'm looking forward to. And I'm making some specific predictions there, but just in general, yeah.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Also, did you hear it could be made into a TV show or like a movie?
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't hear that.
yeah. I'll
Whoa.
send you that interview. It's like a 30-minute interview. It's been,
I heard. Wait, I heard Encade's doing something.
yes,
Is that
yeah.
right? Okay, she's also doing something.
Broken Earth is going.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so needed.
We could not get there fast enough.
Yeah.
We really need this. Like, I don't even watch TV, and I'm gonna watch these things.
Yeah. Awesome.
So much more important than so much other TV that's happening right now. Don't get angry.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, well, any last words?
I don't think so. Looking forward to the next book.
Same.
Um, yeah, I will happily send around doodle poll for what it was called, the next one.
Yeah, we should talk about that. But also, we can stop recording.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
All right. Take care.